Now, before this summer's European Championship, you probably wouldn't have got many shouts for Cody Gakpo being in the hunt for the Golden Boot or the player of the tournament, but the Dutch forward has inspired his team to get to the knockout stages with some exciting performances and some important goals. After an up and down season for Liverpool last term, this will be just the tonic for Gakpo, a player who looked shot of confidence not so long ago, but now looks on top of the world. So, let's have a look at what he's been doing differently for the Netherlands and if this might influence Arne Slot's decision on where best to play him this coming season. So Gakpo is now just the sixth Dutchman to score 3 or more goals in a single edition of the Euro, sitting next to some legendary names in Marco van Basten, Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Kluivert, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Gini Wijnaldum. This has led people to wonder why, despite some encouraging signs, that these kinds of dominating performances haven't happened at Liverpool. The question is, why hasn't he been consistently played at left wing for the Reds? But the answer isn't that straightforward. It's only been over the past year or so that Gakpo has been consistently playing wide left for the Netherlands, as they found themselves playing in a more standard 4-3-3 more often. In the 2022 World Cup, Gakpo played in all 5 of his country's matches, grabbing 3 goals and announcing himself onto the world stage. In these games, Gakpo either played as number 10 or as part of an attacking duo up top. This was the tournament that made him one of the hottest properties in European football, and though he was heavily linked with Manchester United, Liverpool swooped in and secured the signature for around €42 million as soon as the transfer window opened after that edition of the Winter World Cup. He'd make his debut in the 2-2 FA Cup draw with Wolves a few days later, playing on the left wing. But for the rest of that season, he would find himself generally playing in a more central role, with Jurgen Klopp identifying his composure and football intelligence as attributes which could make him into a false 9, in the mould of the soon-to-be departing Roberto Firmino. Now, when it worked, it was tremendous. Gakpo would often drop deep to create a midfield box and give the Reds numerical advantage in the middle, or use his football IQ to neutralise the threat of the opposition's defensive midfielders and deep line playmakers. He could intelligently press in a way that Klopp did not trust Darwin Núñez to do. In transition, he was fluid enough to allow Núñez to cut inside from the left into central areas when needed. Probably the best example of Gakpo as a false 9 came in Liverpool's 7-0 demolition of Manchester United at Anfield in March 2023, where Gakpo would score twice and turn in perhaps his best performance for the Reds so far. In the final game of the season, a 4-4 draw with Southampton, he would further show his versatility by coming off the bench to play in central midfield, a role he would continue in on the first game of last season away to Chelsea. In his first season, having signed in January, he registered 7 goals and 3 assists, all as a centre forward. The following season, his only full one so far, he would notch 16 goals and 6 assists, still mainly as a centre forward, but he would cement his reputation for versatility by also playing on both flanks and in midfield throughout the campaign. Now, his time as centre forward wasn't just about his ability as a Roberto Firmino replacement. The toils of Darwin Núñez also played its part, as Gakpo would often find himself replacing the Uruguayan when he fluffed his lines, and as the Reds' forward line had real problems when it came to finishing chances and killing games, Klopp found himself throwing different solutions at the problem. This didn't help with the fluidity and understanding of the front three, which also wasn't helped by Mohamed Salah's stint at the Africa Cup of Nations. The fact that Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez could all lay a claim to wide left being their strongest position also made it more difficult for Gakpo to get an extended run out wide. However, it's a fallacy that Gakpo didn't get a chance out there. He got 4 straight games there at the turn of the year, which yielded a goal and a couple of assists, but in truth, he was struggling for confidence and his form was poor. For the period of around Christmas 2023 till April 2024, Gakpo just wasn't firing on all cylinders, and the team's decent results and ability to stay in the title race wasn't a reflection of their often uninspired performances. It took a heart-to-heart with Jurgen Klopp to change Gakpo's fortunes. In an end-of-season roundtable, Klopp is quoted as saying, "We spoke about it, that you try and prove something that I don't ask you to prove, which is like a misunderstanding. And when you're on the way to prove something you actually don't have to, you lose the rest of your game a little bit. With stopping that, you can be yourself immediately again. It's crazy. I think the next game you came on and it looked completely different." I'd like to say it was exactly because I said what I said, but I don't think it was. It was like, okay, stop worrying about what it was. Let's be the one I was before that. And in the final month of the season, that's exactly what happened, with Gakpo being the most consistent player in the team. In a side that was obviously struggling to end the season on a high, Gakpo was often the spark. Now, whatever Jurgen Klopp said to him seemed to do the trick. The big question going forward will be how his compatriot Arne Slot will want to use him. There's no doubt that as an individual, Gakpo can be more effective on the left. He's quick, great on the counter, and dangerous in 1v1s, using that drop of the shoulder to cut inside his fullback. Now, this is more difficult in a Premier League full of well-drilled teams sitting in a low block. Now, there's just more time and space in international football. So as much as it would be better on an individual level for him out left, there's a good shout that centrally is a better position for him to give the team balance and control. However, much of this might depend on how Slot lines up when he finally gets his hand on a Liverpool game. He likes to play with an advanced midfielder, almost like a number 10, which is something that could suit Gakpo too. It's difficult to see him get an extended run at left wing with the Red squad heavily stacked in that area, along with being linked with Newcastle's Anthony Gordon, of course. At some point on the left wing, something is going to have to give. Now, where would you see Cody Gakpo fitting in Liverpool's team for the coming season?